Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we're talking about Comic Tom. Specifically, did Comic Tom manipulate the market? Now, if any of you have followed me for any length of time, you know that his name has come up in a few of my videos, but I've never made a video about Comic Tom specifically. Now, before I talk about any of this, I want to get this out on the table. Several years ago, when I went to a local show and bought a comic book that had extra staples, extra funny business, kind of like a Frankenstein book, I reached out to a few people to ask their opinion. And one of those people was Comic Tom. Now, the other people I asked are pretty big names in the community, and there was only one person that reached out back to me. And guess who that was? Comic Tom. So my opinion of Comic Tom is one of confusion in a lot of ways. I think Comic Tom is actually probably a pretty nice guy. But what Comic Tom is in the community is a completely different thing. A lot of this controversy is stemming around his most recent videos where he talks about how he may have or did in fact manipulate the comic book market. The comic book in question is Department of Truth #1 by James Tynion. This is a book that came out back in 2020, and it was hotter than fire, as they say. This is one of those books, along with Donny Cates' Venom, The Immortal Hulk, Ice Cream Man, Stray Dogs. It's a lot of these books that came out right in that comic book boom, where we not only saw prices of like Grail comics and Copper and Silver and Bronze Age and all those key issues go to the moon. It was also a time of a comic book boom in the LCS where people were speculating again with new comics. Well, this Department of Truth book quickly corrected after the market kind of cooled down, and a CGC 9.8 of this book dropped back down to like $35, $40, which probably is about what it's worth. Recently, eBay sales spiked after Comic Tom talked about this on his channel, where we see now this book selling for well over $100 in CGC 9.8 in some circumstances, and raw copies selling for $30, $40. Similar to what they were selling for back in 2020 and 2021. Well, what does this mean? Well, it means that Comic Tom has power. He has real power and sway in the market. If Comic Tom brings something up on his show, if he talks about something, people are listening and people are going to move on that. They are going to put their money where their mouth is and follow his guidance. One thing that has to be said about Comic Tom, and I would say a lot of you watching this video could probably see this, or this may have happened to you. If you're getting into comic book YouTube specifically, where do you usually start? You start with Comic Tom, Jim Mint, Very Gary. These are the guys that you get recommended first. I mean, if you start with Sticky Goose, I mean, God bless you, but more than likely than not, you probably started with Comic Tom. And after watching his video for research for this video, I can see, I haven't watched one of his videos in literally years. I can see how he is so palatable and he is so influential. Hold on a minute. Let me just... In that video I watched, he's so animated. The energy is there. You know, he's not umming and ahhing. He's very confident. And just for example, like when they were talking, it was, and we're back in that number 10 spot. 10 spot's going to be hot this week. Hot because it's going to be fire. Fire because it's going to be lit. Now, if we haven't already, send you back over to Key Collector and that whatnot. And you got to join the mystery mail call exclusive Comic Tom. What up? All right, back on that number 7 list.
We got a really cool 1 in 100 by Javon Jordan. There's a 1 in 150 foil variant of that Justice League homage cover. Just go look. Go check them out for yourself. ComicTom101.com.
If you join the newsletter while you're on there before the end of the month, you enter to win all of our giveaways going forward, including the ASM 300 giveaway we're doing that I actually bought from you, Russ. So why don't you start him off at number 6.
Number 6 on the list,
So if that kind of thing is your thing, that is where you need to go. I can't do that. I can't match that. I would be exhausted. This is my southern drawl. This is how I talk. Like, I can't do anything like that. I mean, I guess I could, but I would need like a water break in the middle. Comic Tom has his place. He has this following, which can't be denied. I mean, people are watching his videos. The issue I have is the advertisement baked into it. So a lot of what he's selling is himself in the video. But the problem is he's working in conjunction with this other big entity in the comic book community, and that is Key Collector. And if you don't know, Key Collector is an app, which I'm sure everybody watching this video knows, where you can see key issues, price trends. It's a handy little app to figure out key comic books. Well, this guy, Nick Coglanese, I don't know how to say his last name. He and Comic Tom obviously have some sort of business relationship. You can use Comic Tom's promo code to get free stuff, free subscription on the site. He's basically advertising for the site on Comic Tom's YouTube channel, and you can look in his description of links to get you to Key Collector. The problem is when Key Collector starts talking about things on Comic Tom's videos. So you have this cycle, this circle of promotion on these two platforms where they can theoretically manipulate the market. If you guys are not aware, Comic Tom just released a comic book, and it's called Crashdown #1. I think it actually came out this week. Cool, right? There's a lot of other comic book YouTubers that are releasing comic books, and I've been very vocal about that. Buy their comic book, but don't buy it for investment purposes, because obviously that's not a very good idea. But hold on a minute. If we take a look at Key Collector, we see Crashdown #1 is one of the keys of the week by Key Collector Comics. What the hell does that mean? So one of the keys of the week, meaning one of the best books that you can buy, one of the best books that you can invest in for the week, is Crashdown #1 by Tom Garcia et al. I mean, that is wild to me. That if they don't think they're manipulating the market, take a look at that right there. And that kind of gets me to my next point, is his reaction to being accused of manipulating the market. So let me be very clear. As a comic book YouTuber, I've been accused of a lot of things, and let's face facts. A salacious headline like, "Did I manipulate the market?" That gets clicks. So his acknowledgement of that was a interesting decision to make, because that is one of those things that could be perceived very negatively. If you take a look in the comments, some of the comments are pretty hilarious. One of the comments that really jumped out, and one of the most liked comments, was, "Y'all been manipulating the market," says Jeffrey Avias 8306. So he straight calls Comic Tom out on his own video. "You've been manipulating the market. This is nothing new." Comic Tom actually responds to this and says, "Talking about comic books is a hell of a thing." So that is a very interesting take. So when I was talking about this with my wife, I said, I was wanting her opinion of that. And her statement was, "Do you think he just realized that, or he's that naive?" And I there's no way he's that naive. It's just an interesting thing to say, that him just casually talking about comic books has led to all of this speculation, all of this movement of money, this movement of books on online retailers. He's just awakening to the realization that he has that type of influence. That was wild to me. So let's kind of wrap this up. Is Comic Tom good for the community? I mean, I don't know. I mean, taking his content at face value, enjoying it, having it be your stepping stone to get into the door, sure, that is a possibility. But to use his content as financial advice, things from his Whatnot sales, the books that he thinks, I mean, he obviously has invested interest. He works with a LCS owner. They are getting these books, these fresh ink books. They probably have stockpiles of Department of Truth #1. I mean, these type of things, you have to understand. You have to take everything they say with a grain of salt. Their true motivations are pretty apparent. They are about that money. Comic Tom is a nice guy. He'll answer your questions, but I mean, don't get it twisted. That show and his brand and his marketplace, that is about money. That is about separating you from your money by his words. So be careful. Guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If at any point in time you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you like this video, subscribe for more. Take care.